Part of Makola number 2 market near Tudu has been ravaged by fire. This is the third fire outbreak at the Makola number 2 market in 2 years. Studio interview with Mr. Bilian Naglati to tell us why. In 2 years, we've recorded 3 separate fire incidents at the Makola market. Haven't we learned any lesson? He'll be answering our questions and what impedes the fire service in situations like this. Now, Education Minister Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman has warned basic school administrators and teachers to desist from extorting monies from pupils as charges for extra classes. The practice, she stressed, is illegal and defeats government purpose of providing access to free basic school education. She was speaking at the inauguration ceremony at the Zamarama Lime cluster of schools here in Accra.
Education is important for personal, for community, and for national development. And my appeal to parents, we need your involvement in the learning of your children. But we do not want parents going into schools and threatening teachers. That is not something we are looking for. I have seen too many of that recently in the papers. It is not something that makes me happy at all. Going to assault teachers in the presence of children is to set us back. We also need to ensure that as the government removes barriers, nobody else introduces. And here I'm referring to unauthorized fees. No one has a right to charge any fees at the basic level. No fees are to be charged that have not been approved. No teacher has a right to move from classroom to classroom collecting money from the children. This must stop. I do not want to hear that it is for extra classes when the time allocated for teaching is not well spent. The research we conducted recently shows that teachers are spending, on the average, about 35% of the time on task. What right then do we have teaching anything extra? The ministry has declared zero tolerance for absenteeism this year. We have empowered the National Inspectorate Board to carry out its job. My surprise visits will continue. And we have also appealed to the municipal and district chief executives to support us, because in the act that set them up, there's a specific role they need in education.
And that was the Education Minister there. As soon as we move to this side, we know we're going to do an interview, and this time is on the Makola fire, where in 2 years, 3 separate fire incidents have occurred. What exactly is happening? Today it starts around 5 a.m., we understand. So we'll pick that story. Part of the Makola number 2 market near Tudu has been ravaged by fire.
The fire reportedly started at about 4:30 a.m. Traders say they saw smoke billowing from one of the stores and tried to put it out with sachet water, but were not successful, so had to call the fire service.
As usual, they were constrained by access, And if you look around, you observe that some hoses got bent. The first responders went in with those hoses to try to control the fire, and they were overwhelmed. So that's how the hoses got bent. They had to retreat and reorganize and go to fight the fire.
The Greater Accra Regional Public Relations Officer of the Fire Service, James Ohene-Kwatin, said it was important to cordon off the area, but traders were eager to salvage their goods.
You see that there is a filling station on the PWD compound. One of our objectives was to make sure that it doesn't spread to the filling station to cause any disaster.
The Accra Regional Police Command on Monday, March 25, detained a woman on suspicion of attempting to burn down some stores at the Makola markets. She was subsequently referred to the Accra Psychiatric Hospital by the police due to her unstable condition. In June last year, the market was ravaged by fire and is suspected to be the work of arsonists.
Right, and faces of women crying, I mean weeping, becomes very common, especially at times like this. But as grieving as it is, it looks as if we're not learning anything, and we'll have responses to this, and also see if there's any link to the woman who seemed to be having a psychiatric problem. We have a correspondent on the ground there to tell us exactly what's happening. So we'll go over to the Makola number 2 area.
In the morning, and the firefighters initially had some challenges accessing the market when the fire started, and unavailability of water also came to play. We would shortly be speaking with the DO2 Samuel Mensah-Boako, who is the acting Metro Fire Officer of the Ghana National Fire Service. But now the firefighters are still working, putting more effort in salvaging this fire outbreak that started at about 4:30 a.m. this morning. Already we have the personnel of the Ghana National Fire Service playing here, and earlier in the morning the National Disaster Management Organization members or personnel were also present here. We still have some few out there, and also security presence is really tight in the area. None of the traders have arrived or been allowed to enter the area where the fire started, because they are still not really sure if they have put the fire out completely, but they're still working. But as we bring you this report, standing next to me is the acting Metro Fire Officer of the Ghana National Fire Service, DO2 Samuel Mensah-Boako, who will tell us how the firefighting so far. Have you been able to establish what really started the whole fire this morning?
Well, we don't know at the moment. We don't know the cause of the fire. We have not done this thing, but in the morning when we came, but there wasn't access to the distance, but we managed to be able to quench off the fire. At this time, we are just doing the salvaging to clear off the debris. So we believe that the main work has been done. We tried for the fire not to extend to where the fuel station is, so that the weather will never get to the worst situation. At the moment, everything is at control. So we are just making the salvation.
But we still see some more smoke coming out of there, and we still see some of the traders who are salvaging some of their goods there. What would you say to that?
It is not healthy for them to do that this thing. But since the police are here, since they've consulted the police, so they are taking care of them. And we know the smokes, also the smoke that we are talking of, since there are containers here and then things are in this thing, when the water fall on it, definitely such a thing will occur. But still, we know the fire is in control.
We understand the president of the Second-Hand Clothes Sellers Association is around, but he or she wouldn't be allowed to enter to speak with us. But shortly, let me find out from you, the Ghana National Fire Service, this is not the first time you're fighting fire here at the Makola number 2 market in a year. This is the second fire outbreak here. And I know that you put in place some recommendations. Is it that the recommendations weren't effective enough, or the AMA is not responding to these recommendations? I know access to routes in the market was one.
Yeah, we can put the blame on AMA. I think they are doing their best, but those selling here or the hawkers here are the factor. It may happen they are the cause. It may happen whatever we are telling them, the AMA is telling them, they are not hearing to what they are saying. So that has generated to all these things.
And how soon are we expecting this whole salvaging to be over, to allow the traders inside to see if they can rescue or salvage some of their items?
That today we'll end up the job. My co. I believe that today we'll finish everything. So after that, it will be in the hands of the AMA or the NADMO.
All right, thank you so much, DO2 Samuel Mensah-Boako, acting Metro Fire Officer of the Ghana National Fire Service. So briefly, that is what is happening here now. Salvaging is ongoing. Firefighters trying the possible best to ensure that no smoke comes out or no more fire guts out in any part of the Makola number 2 market, precisely the second-hand clothes sellers area. So that is the report we have now. As and when we get more updates, we'll be coming your way with more. Naniki Asari for Midday Live right here at Makola number 2 market inside Accra. Back to you in the studios.
All right, thank you very much, Nana Ikuya Asari. And she hits the nail right on the head, trying to get, answers from the fire officer who was present at the scene. Now, in the studio, we have the Deputy PRO for the National Fire Service, Mr. Billy Anaglate. Thank you very much for joining us in our studios. Good afternoon. I mean, you heard one of the things Nana Ikuya spoke to the man about was the access issue. I mean, it's come up a lot of the times. What happens? I mean, when the fire happens, we go to sleep and hope to God that it doesn't happen again?
Well, I don't think that is the situation. When we are talking about market fires, prevention of market fires, it behoves of several stakeholders. One of those stakeholders are the people that have their investment in the market, because they have all activities that have been part of some of these fire outbreaks. So we are ensuring that they have a lot to do if really we want to prevent some of these fire outbreaks in the market. The other aspect is the custodians of the market, that are the assemblies that have every control over the market. They have their bylaws. They should also ensure that certain activities do not even occur in the market. We are talking about accessibility. You realize that most of these markets are really not built with any design to ensure that emergency vehicles access the market in terms of any emergency. Those that are even built with those alleys and the gangways that emergency vehicles could access because of usage. People have erected structures on the alleys and the gangways preventing emergency vehicles to enter in case of emergency.
Okay, I want to, even before you continue, you mentioned stakeholders, and one of them, I know a lot of these women have insurance companies, and some of the requirements, I mean, to have the rights, if it's electrical gadgets done by professional technicians. Do you even go there to supervise how people erect their structures? Are you allowed to do that, even before insurance comes in to say we're insuring them?
No, actually, I even want to see if any insurance company will be able to insure any of those people in that stretcher that they are selling in, because if you get in there, the hazards. There are a lot of activities and the hazard that is, a recipe for fire outbreak. So I'm even wondering if any insurance company will get in there to insure those things. But the fire service, what we do is that in terms of constructing those structures, we are not allowed to be there to see it. People do their own things at their own time. What we do is to get in to have safety audit in all the markets to identify hazards within the market. That even tells us to determine the structural integrity of some of those structures that they put in there, the electrical connection that they have there. We are able to determine if they are able to have any safety measure to meet any safety standard to prevent any fire outbreaks within the premises in the first place.
Okay.
Those are some of the hazard we identify, and we write our reports as well to ensure that those things could be averted.
All right. I remember I think a year and a half ago, I went round to the various markets because the fire service had said that, well, they put 2 personnel in the market. Some come in the morning, in the evening, just so you can monitor activities. There's a chopper, open fire, you put it off. If you were doing that, and especially at Makola, we wouldn't be having this.
Yes, exactly. That is exactly what we've been doing, that we try to...
But did you do it at Makola? Because I went to Osu, I saw it in Osu, I didn't see it in Makola.
Yeah, they are all there. Probably you get to Osu at the time you get there, I don't know. Because if they are 2, they patrol. If they are at the other side of the market, you are also at the other, it will be difficult for you to determine that there are people in there. But that is what the instruction have been from the chief officer, and we try to monitor to see if really been, implemented.
In other words, your men were there and still this
yeah, what I want to say is that they don't live with the people in their stores, in their stores that they are living. If somebody is closing his premises and at the time that he is closing, the fireman is not there and he left any of the electrical gadgets on, I don't think it's anything for any fireman. We are not magicians, so it is only people that, like I say, they are stakeholders. They should ensure that their investments are protected. So they should get committed and to ensure that before they leave their premises, at least they should look around and see which electrical gadget that is on, that is not supposed to be on. Fireman will not be within the premises at the time that somebody is locking. We can't be in all those stores and stores at the time that they are closing. So we are patrolling to see what activities are going outside. If there is anybody that has cooked in there and is leaving any fire unattended, we ensure that those fires are properly turned off.
All right.
But today, as we are talking, people are still sleeping in the market. Do we still not have chobas in the market? Do we still not have drinking spots in the market? At the close of the market, those things are operated, people's moving through. Those activities are still going on. They are part of the causes of some of these fire outbreaks that we have.
No, but then you sound like a pessimist, really, that there's no hope. Because if stakeholders, you mentioned key stakeholders, if the assemblies are not working, if the AMA and the other stakeholders aren't working, then what? We leave it when it happens, then we come back to quench it? Is that what's going to happen?
No, I wouldn't say so. You know, we have identified, I said we'll be writing our reports where we have been giving our recommendations.
Clearly they are not being put
Of course, yes. I know the AMA have moved in some time ago to implement some of those measures, but the rest of the measures also need to be implemented. If you've gone into the market, you ensure that some overage electrical wires are removed, some stretchers have been removed, and you still allow people to sleep in the market. Those are also fire hazards in the market. It is not a matter of tackling some of the measures and leaving some unattended. You don't know which aspect of those measures that will contribute to this fire outbreak. I don't know what their challenges are, but I'm aware that AMA have gone in some time ago to ensure that some of those measures are being implemented. But we need to implement those measures to the latter to ensure that our markets are protected.
All right, as we all sit here, we cannot even guarantee that we can go through the year without experiencing market fire at any of the marketplaces. So what happens then? One, are we not also criminalizing, finding people, criminalizing and imprisoning people who cause some of these fires? Not necessarily those who start, but the people who are sleeping, the people who are cooking. Why don't we criminalize them then?
Yes, exactly. That is the situation. But we are living in a human society that there are times that people want to handle situation with a human face. That as much as people are sleeping in the market, you want to move in. I remember when they were moving them out of the market, there were people, the public outcry that where are we moving the people to? These are some of the situations, and we will keep having this sort of situation at hand. Had it not been the timely intervention of the fire service, having all the techniques put on the ground. Look at the number of fire tenders, 8 firefighting engines, 2 water tankers, and 2 turntable ladders, with about 75 firemen on the ground to ensure that this situation has been reduced to the level that it has been. Else we have had disaster at our hand. Can't we do all that it takes to prevent some of these things? A single person's illegal activity could cause all this. So let us all of us ensure that we cultivate the fire safety culture to prevent some of these fires.
All right, thank you very much. You heard the Deputy PRO for the National Fire Service, Mr. Billy Anaglate here. Well, he says he's not a pessimist, that we can make progress if all stakeholders implemented their recommendation, and also criminalizing people who openly flout simple or basic rules. You're watching Midday live on TV3.